The very first video I posted, I covered what I thought and what the community thought were the worst areas in wizard101. Well, today, I want to look at the more positive side of things and cover the best areas in the game. I made a Reddit post asking you guys what your favorite areas are. I'm going to be taking into account the areas you talked about and my personal favorites for this list. This post didn't get as much traction as my last one, so I won't have as many answers from the community itself, but I tried to include the most popular choices. The list is in no particular order, and we're going to be ranking them as we go. The first area I wanted to talk about is Crab Alley. Crab Alley is a side area in the game, but I think most of us consider it an honorary mainline area. This is the first time you go underwater in the game, and if you're experiencing this for the first time, it's pretty magical. It's really fun seeing how all the different mounts act swimming underwater instead of walking. And that's just one of the fun things about Crab Alley. A thing I really like about it is the plot. The plot is just really goofy. It has the classic wizard101 silliness to it, and it just makes it an iconic area. Like, the king ran away because he wanted to be a rock star, and you have to convince him to come back to his kingdom because an evil crab thing is impersonating him. But he looks nothing like the king, and it's just really funny that nobody notices this. You also come back here later in the game to do waterworks, which is the first major shift in power for your wizard. You start getting critical hit rate at this area, you get decent damage, and you can start one-shotting enemies after you do waterworks. So considering that and the other things I love about this area, I think it 100% deserves a spot on this list. The next area that I want to mention is Thieves Den. Thieves Den is an area that just feels lived in. I would honestly say that Thieves Den does a better job of feeling lived in than any other point in the game. The sound of people chattering, seeing all these different villain characters you've defeated in the past, and even Boochbeard from Pirate 101. With all this, it truly does feel like a safe haven for all the dirty and evil mercenaries throughout the spiral. Something that I absolutely have to talk about with the Thieves Den is the sound design. The sound design here is just absolutely phenomenal. There's a live band playing that if you get closer to it, the music gets louder. You can walk up to the different patrons sitting at the table and hear different conversations going on.
And that's what I said. Put that monkey down!
No other area in the game really pays this much attention to the sound design, but because this is done here, it ends up feeling extremely special. Like, I love this area. It's awesome. I will say, however, that the one fault this area has is that it's not on the map, and it doesn't have an obvious entrance. So if you don't have a quest helper or know exactly where it is, it can be very difficult to find. Still one of my favorites though. So I am putting Thieves Den in the number 1 spot, right above Crab Alley. I really like this area, so it's going to be hard to take its place. One of the popular answers on the post was the Arcanum, and this makes total sense. The Arcanum is a truly special part of the game. Reach mid-Polaris, this is some game-shaking content. You find out that there's actually this area that you never knew about in all of your questing and saving the spiral. And in this area is the best of the best magic casters, somewhat of a secret society known as the Arcanum. And you're now a part of it. This is the first sense of real growth for your own character in the game if you ask me. The wizard you play as has always been a student of Ravenwood. Through your good deeds in saving the spiral, you've consistently been a student at this place. Finding out that there are wizards whose level of magic surpasses what even Merle, the headmaster of Ravenwood, is capable of, this is big. For the first time, there's unknown power, something bigger and better to strive for. There's mystery, coupled with the fact that you can get access to way better astral spells here, and just a new place to train spells with new professors. It's like a milestone to get here with a wizard. I stopped seeing my characters as weak or low level once they reach the Arcanum, and that's just how cool this place makes you feel. Rank-wise, I'm gonna put the Arcanum at number 2, right under Thieves Den and above Crab Alley. This one is more of a personal favorite of mine, but a good contender nonetheless. That area is going to be the Wild in Avalon. The Wild is really cool to me. It's your first exposure to the forest side of Avalon. A section including the Wild, the Weird, and Dundara. This area is my favorite of the 3. Home of different mythical creatures such as fire elves, leprechauns, and most importantly, Cassie the Ponycorn. I mean, just look at her. She's perfect! The environment here is dark and mysterious, while it still maintains a lush and beautiful nature scene. The spooky forest is one of my favorite places to quest. However, my favorite part of this area is the soundtrack. It's so mysterious and spooky. It's the perfect track for a dark medieval forest area. I'm putting the Wild at the new number 3 spot, leaving Crab Alley in last place and Thieves Den still in the lead. The top comment on the post was Aeroplanes in Imperia, and I agree with this one a lot. This area is the definition of a pace breaker, but in the best ways possible. If you've seen my first video, you'll remember a complaint of mine for Xanadu was that it was dark and drab, and not pretty to look at. Well, after Imperia gives you almost an entire world of dark areas like that, you're finally greeted with Aeroplanes, and it is beautiful. A massive open field, in perfect sunny weather. Coming here feels amazing. It's almost unlike any other area in the game with just how open it feels. It almost makes the game feel closer to an open world game when the level is built like this, and I'd love to see more of it. Experiencing this level makes you feel very refreshed, and it personally gives me the morale boost I need to finish up Imperia. I'm gonna give Aeroplanes the new number 3 spot, putting it below Arcanum and above the Wild. This one I was honestly quite shocked that nobody mentioned this as their favorite. It's such a good area that I hold in such high regard, so it has to be on the list. Well, what area is that? It's Heap in Lemuria. Heap is a very dark, black and white area, but it's extremely stylized and fun. The characters here are funny, the environment is cozy yet bleak, and the music and battle music here are just absolutely astounding. It feels very different from a lot of the rest of the game does, and in this case, it works out extremely well. I don't have too much else to say about Heap, it's more or less just very pretty to look at, but so much so that I'm giving this the number 3 spot, replacing Aeroplanes. The area just has such a unique vibe to it, it has to be high on the list. Oh man, this one's gonna be very controversial. Just please remember that this list is my opinion, and I'm not trying to force my beliefs on you. Okay, Mooncliffs and Chrysalis. I know, Chrysalis bad, very bad, too long. Honestly, someday I want to make a video strictly about Chrysalis, because I don't think it deserves the hate that it gets. But anyways, why Mooncliffs? Well, first of all, I just think it's pretty. The red grass, the huge lake, the fighting enemies that make the area feel lived in, but it ultimately boils down to the thing which is probably my favorite part of the game. Eclipse Tower. Most of you know this is where you get shadow magic, and this is precisely why I like it. You get this super cool cutscene when you unlock the area, and then get to climb a bridge of light to a tower that contains a dark and long forgotten magic. Unlocking shadow magic just feels special. Maybe it's the nostalgia speaking, but this is just another one of those milestone moments that feels significant. While the shadow spells that you get at this point aren't particularly powerful, it's just so satisfying joining that first battle and seeing the shadow gauge, a key moment in the game to make you truly feel like a powerful wizard, unlocking powers that not even your Ravenwood professors know much about. I'm putting Mooncliffs in the new number 5 spot. Okay, there's one more. This area just so happens to be the area that I would consider the very best area in the game. What area could possibly be cooler than all these other insanely good parts of the game? Well, for me, it's an easy answer. That answer is the Commons. Yes, this might feel like a cop-out, but think about it. Actually, don't even think about it. Let me just play this music for you. Did you have some sort of emotional reaction to that? That's because the Commons is the area of wizard101. I've spent countless hours in this single area over the years. It's always so nice to visit the Commons and just see it bustling with people playing the game. Sure, the Commons might get a little wild sometimes, but I think ultimately this area is the essential wizard101 area. Have you ever been in the Commons 10 minutes before the servers closed? It's just a magical place, seeing everyone gather around, saying goodbye to each other for the night, and having an overall celebration. I think the Commons is what brings together one of the most fun parts of this game, and that is the social aspect. Because, honestly, I'm only still here because of the community. And if you want to be involved with the the Commons is the best place to go for easy interaction. This area will never not be special. This is what you think of when you think Wizard 101. So yeah, I think the number one spot on this list easily goes to the Commons. While these obviously aren't the only areas I like, I think this about covers most of the areas that stand out as my favorites. Hopefully one of your favorites has been mentioned here, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember not to fizzle, and as always, see you later, Wizard Gators.